Yeah, I got them. Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
Hey everyone, we are ready to start the meeting.
Let's call this meeting to order. It is 7:02. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to our meeting. I'd like to begin our meeting tonight by turning the microphone over to Dr. Shaner.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, I'd like to take a moment and bow our heads in prayer and reflection and remembrance and support and love for all the people that have suffered a loss over the past couple of weeks. As you know, there's a terrible tragedy in Oxford. Please keep our entire community, the Oxford community, our community, everyone that's been impacted by this, which is very widespread, in your thoughts and prayers. Also, I'd like to ask you to pray and reflect and remember Grace Ryba, alumni from Adams High School that passed away, and keep her family in your thoughts and prayers as well. Also, I'd like you to continue to pray for the Santo family and their son Brendan. These difficult times as they hope for the safe return of their son. And also, I'm sure there's many people in the community and across our state that have been impacted by knowing people in the terrible tragedy in Kentucky, Illinois, and Arkansas, and all the states that were damaged by the largest tornado to ever hit the United States. We're all suffering in a different way, whether it's because we have loved ones in Oxford. We know the Ryba family, praying for Brendan and his family, or we've experienced some other kind of loss. Please, ladies and gentlemen, keep them in your heart, keep them in your thoughts, and keep them in your prayers. Let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. Good evening. Welcome to the regular public board meeting of the Rochester Community Schools Board of Education. We are grateful to serve this community. We have several ways for the public to engage during our public meetings. First, members of the public can request to be on our agenda. Tonight, 4 members of the public have made that request. There's a form on our website for those who are interested in the future. Second, at the end of the meeting, we do have time for public comments. To participate, please fill out a yellow card and hand it to one of the individuals at the end of the table, or hand it to Amy or Lori over here at this table. When you're addressing the board, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. We will let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining. When addressing the board, please state your name and your relationship to the district. Please address your comments to the entire board and not to individual board members, the superintendent, or other district employees or members of the audience. Please refrain from behavior that is intemperate, abusive, defamatory, or discourteous, or that otherwise interferes with the ordinary conduct and timely completion of our board meeting. We reserve the right to exclude from our meeting an individual who engages in conduct that constitutes a breach of the peace. We will not be answering direct questions or responding to comments directly tonight, but we'll make sure someone follows up with you to address your concerns. Yielding time or otherwise giving time to a speaker to extend your 3 minutes will not be permitted. On behalf of all my colleagues on the board, again, we are grateful to serve this community, and we do appreciate your support. First item on the agenda is roll call. All members are present with the exception of Scott Muska, who is absent with notice. Spotlight on success. And I am going to call up here to the podium Mr. Dave Poncius, principal at McGregor Elementary School.
Good evening, Dr. Shaner, Mrs. Fragomeni, Board of Education. Over the last few weeks and months, and over the last 2 years, things have been a little bit trying for everyone, and you guys have been an anchor for Rochester Community Schools in the community. You guys are a beacon of hope and inspiration. And so I was speaking with Jolene Plotsky and Allison Roberts and some other colleagues, and we wanted to show some gratitude and bring some holiday cheer and spirit to you guys, because you guys are here and are always an anchor for us. We decided not to bring the transitional kindergarten kids with us tonight because they are out in the community right now with Mrs. Plotsky caroling. So what we wanted to do is Mrs. Plotsky, she lives into something that Mrs. Fragomeni and the Board of Education and Dr. Shaner invited us to a few years ago when we went down to Rock Financial. And there was something that our central office administrators always said, yes before no. And I went to Jolene Plotsky and I said, hey, Jolene, we need to do this for the board. And she goes, well, Dave, we have that caroling event. And I said, oh, but she goes, I have an idea. And we'd like to share that idea with you tonight. I think you guys will really appreciate this treat from our TK teachers, from the RAA and the REA, and all of the staff and students, not only at McGregor, but from across the district. Thank you for all you do, and we hope this brings you a little bit of cheer. Thank you. Mrs. Plotsky, what do you got going on here in the cafeteria?
We have TK coming in to say thank you to our board members and our special administrators in our school. Hey, you've got to tell them something for us. RCS, we are so grateful that you're keeping us safe. It's been such a hard 2 weeks. It's been a tough 2 years. So we wanted to say thank you, just like in our positivity project. We want to show you gratitude.
Thank you, Ms. Plotsky. That is awesome.
That was so much fun. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys, the kids loved it, and I tried zooming in. I don't know, Debbie, I think I was trying to zoom in on the little girl that was wearing her unicorn outfit, because we told the kids to dress up, and she came with her unicorn outfit that morning. So thank you guys again for all you do. You are incredible to work with and work for. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Lori Grine, I think, has our next spotlight on success.
Thank you, President Bull. At this time, we would like to invite our school nurse, Tanya Regmont, to join me at the podium. Tanya? So Tanya doesn't know that we're doing this. We invited her here, and she has no idea why she's here. And Tanya, you can kind of like stay front and center if you'd like, because we're going to talk about you for just a little bit. At this time, we are pleased to announce that Tanya Regmont has been nominated as the 2021-22 Life Changer of the Year for making a positive difference in the lives of our students. We can applaud. So with a bachelor's degree in nursing from the University of Michigan, you can applaud that too if you'd like, and experience in critical incident management and disaster readiness, Tanya Regmont serves as a pivotal role bridging the fields of healthcare and education with perfect balance. Tanya's dynamic medical experience in a pediatric Level 2 trauma center provides her with a unique perspective as she supports the healthcare needs of approximately 15,000 RCS students across 21 schools and a child care center. We greatly appreciate Tanya's skill set on a daily basis. However, her level of expertise became vitally important in early 2020 when medical experts around the world were beginning to talk about the highly transmissible coronavirus disease. Tanya's clinical and educational lens helped guide our district through one of the most challenging times as we navigated through the unfamiliar territory of the pandemic. At this time, Dr. Shaner, President Bull, would you like to join me? Tanya, would you like to join them, please? So Dr. Shaner, President Bull, will be presenting Tanya with the Life Changer of the Year Certificate of Excellence. The certificate reads, "This Certificate of Excellence is presented to Tanya Regmont of Rochester Community Schools. In recognition of exemplifying excellence, positive influence, and leadership, you've been nominated for the National Life Group Life Changer of the Year." Congratulations, Tanya. Now, Tanya, if you just want to come kind of sit over here because you're not done completely yet. We have an additional member of our student health and wellness team that we would like to recognize. Susan Deminick, can you please join us? And Susan, you can stand up front because we need to talk some nice things about you too. So Susan Deminick has been an administrator within Rochester Community Schools for the past 13 years, serving as an assistant principal at Rochester High School, principal at ACE, and last year Susan served on the COVID task force team as the administrative liaison alongside Tanya Regmont. You might think, how does an administrator get to be in this position? So let me tell you. So Susan is uniquely positioned to assist in this role. You see, in addition to her master's degree in educational leadership, her secondary teaching certificate, and her education specialist degree in curriculum, Susan also holds a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing. We would like to add that Susan is currently working on her dissertation for her educational doctorate degree in educational leadership. Throughout the public health crisis, Tanya and Susan continuously served as advisors to help keep our community safe. They educated and advised our community about infection control measures, instituted increased hand washing, trained staff on viral spread, and raised awareness about mitigation strategies. They conducted contact tracing, were in daily contact with county and state public health officials, and shared compassion with families who had questions and concerns about the virus. Susan, we would like to also present you with a Rochester Community Schools Certificate of Excellence and recognition for your dedicated service to students, staff, and families within our district. Dr. Shaner, Mrs. Bull, would you like to present this as well? And Tanya, I think we're going to get you up there so we can get a group shot. And if we could give them one more round of applause.
Congratulations again, Tanya and Susan. Next item on our agenda is communications. Item 4.1, Secretary of the Board of Education. Michelle, can you tell us about the communications received?
Good evening. The Board of Education received 21 email communications through the RCS website since our previous meeting. And I'll apologize in advance for any names that I don't get quite right. District parent Nathan Reason contacted the board regarding parking lot safety. District parent Christine Larkins contacted the board regarding speaking at the November 15th board meeting about the DEI survey. Community member Susan Eaton expressed her support and gratitude for the board and Dr. Shaner. District parent Priscilla Albro contacted the board regarding COVID case reporting. District parent Colleen Carney contacted the board regarding advanced English language arts for 6th and 7th graders. District parents Lynn Best, Corey Wilkins, Shona Siddiqui, and Nashit Haq contacted the board regarding their support and appreciation for making diversity, equity, and inclusion a priority. District parent Alina Hall contacted the board regarding ALICE training. District parent Sky Theaton, Sarah Morissette, and Allison Sestari contacted the board regarding the Be Smart campaign. District parent Tara Donnelly contacted the board twice regarding a suggestion of students monitoring social media for bullying and threats, and then another email discussing assembling parent volunteers at drop-off and pickup to show support for students and staff entering buildings. District parent Eric Heige contacted the board regarding the student code of conduct and offered his suggestion on how to handle threats. District parent Ken Bernier contacted the board regarding safety measures. District parent Kathy Nitz contacted the board regarding her appreciation of the considerable efforts the district has taken and treating each and every potential threat with serious consideration and providing resources for parents to help navigate the difficult conversations. District parent Nishat Haq contacted the board to express her appreciation of a class tour to the Islamic Association of Greater Detroit. District parent Michelle Chittick contacted the board twice regarding the purchase of building furniture and her desire for threat reporting decision trees and lockdown training to be shared with parents. In addition, there were 5 emails that were received that did not go through the RCS website. Michelle Chittick contacted the board twice, once regarding capital and sinking fund reports and once with suggestions for school safety. Andrew Email also contacted the board twice, once regarding an interview and once regarding how events were discussed in the media. Steve Sage emailed asking the district to consider going remote through the end of this year. And that's it for the emails that I believe went to all board members.
Thank you. Item 4.2, student representatives to the Board of Education. Carson Collins from Adams.
Good evening. My name is Carson Collins, and I'm a senior at Adams High School. At this time, our student representatives would like to read a unified message to show our concern for our friends at Oxford Community Schools. We can then continue with our monthly reports following our acknowledgments.
Our hearts go out to all the individuals involved in the tragic events of November 30th. We know that it will take a long time to heal from those events, but each gesture of care and kindness within our community will bring hope to the school community now and into the future.
Like many communities in Oakland County, schools have been thinking about ways to show love and support for Oxford schools. One of the ways that we'll be doing this is with Oxford Strong t-shirts that will be sold at each of the high schools. The proceeds from these shirts will go to support Oxford. They will be something that our students can wear when we encounter Oxford students in future events like athletics.
In addition to shirts, our student groups across the district have been thinking of other ways to show our support. Various clubs, honor societies, leadership groups, and music groups have each thought of ways to express our love and support. From playing the Oxford High School fight song and sharing the recording on social media to tying bows on our light posts, our students are constantly thinking of additional ways to continue to show our support.
We also want to express our thanks to all of our counselors, support staff, and all our liaisons from the Oakland County Sheriff's Office, the Rochester Police Department, and SafeEd, who have helped students and staff in both Rochester and Oxford. We appreciate all you do to protect us, keep us safe, and help us cope with different needs. You are very important parts of our community, and we wanted to make sure we highlight you this evening.
We also want to thank the Board of Education, Dr. Shaner, and the district administrative team for everything that you have done to help our students, staff, and families feel safe. At Adams specifically, our staff is in the process of completing their Trusted Adult activity, in which Adams staff ensure that every student has a trusted adult at Adams High School. This has been a very powerful and rewarding process over the past 5 years and is more prevalent than ever for the students at this time. Last week, the LCC K-9 Disaster/Crisis Response Comfort Dogs made a visit to Adams to help students and staff with wellness. This team is in town to help support the Oxford community and the surrounding district and businesses. We cannot thank this organization enough for their emotional support efforts. On Saturday, November 27th, the varsity football team traveled to Ford Field to compete in the Division I state finals. That same weekend, the girls' swim team also achieved runner-ups in the state competition. We are so proud of both of these teams for everything that they have accomplished this year. This week, we will be holding a series of holiday-related events to increase school spirit and spread holiday cheer among students. We are in the midst of a Spirit Week, which includes an ugly sweater day on Friday and a pajama day on Wednesday. On top of this, we have many other events taking place. The Fur Angel Therapy Dogs will be visiting tomorrow. Our student-led Here For You group will be handing out hot chocolate to all students on Wednesday, and the PTSA will be handing out free candy bars, hot chocolate, and coffee to students on Thursday. During these troubling times, we look to maintain the rich culture that exists at Adams. Thank you all, and have a great holiday season.
Thank you, Carson. Next up is Drew from Rochester High.
Hi, I'm Drew Haney, a senior at Rochester High. Consistently following Rochester's mantra of character, tradition, and achievement, we are proud to boast that our students have made a great impact in the surrounding community recently. We are in the midst of our Holiday Spirit Week that has many exciting events, most notable being our RHS student government organizing Blessings in a Backpack donations going to elementary schools in struggling areas to provide warm clothing over break. Donations are being collected until Wednesday if you would like to give, and we'd really appreciate it. Our National English Honor Society ran a cafe and raised over $300 for our Rochester elementary libraries. Our robotics team also hosted a STEM exposition for over 50 elementary schools in the area this weekend, and all of my friends loved working with the kids more than the kids loved it, so it was a really great thing. We are also proud of our student leaders who continue to impact our surrounding schools and community. We have a future Falcon Night on our varsity basketball games on the 14th and 15th, and this Friday when we play Stoney, a suicide prevention night. We are really looking forward to these, and our basketball players are happy to make the impact in our community. With all the help and support we are given in the community, we've also experienced a great loss from Virginia Ames, part of the RHS community, who recently passed away. She was a cheer coach and director of football operations. To honor her, we have a gobo light on the side of our building, and it's really impacted our cheer and the people who worked with her. Our music department has continued to display excellence. Between our last Thursday, choir, band, and orchestra all performed for 5th grade students. They also performed in the Detroit Parade over Thanksgiving. Yesterday, they marched downtown through Main Street, and we had a choir concert last Wednesday. Band is looking forward to an entire winter concert for all band, including alumni, this Wednesday at 7 p.m. All students are also looking forward to seeing their friends carol throughout the building on Friday. We also had a choir Christmas concert last Wednesday, and we're very excited to go on break and have some holiday season.
Thank you, Drew. And we have Dave Palazzolo standing in for Ava from Stoney Creek.
Hi, I'm Dave Palazzolo, the president of Stoney Creek Student Council, filling in for our usual school board representative, Ava Hall, who could not be here tonight. Last month, we had a very successful canned food drive and had the opportunity to give a ton of cans to the Rochester area neighborhood house just in time for Thanksgiving. Students also got to participate in a pie eating contest in all 3 lunches for $5, and all that money also went to the neighborhood house. The Stoney Creek Theater Company will be having auditions for their upcoming one-act play. I personally am actually super excited to have the opportunity to be the student director of this show, so we are super excited to get started with auditions tomorrow. The music department is performing their winter concerts this week. The choirs and orchestra will perform their selections tomorrow night, and the bands will be on Thursday, both at 7 p.m. in the Stoney Creek Auditorium. And winter sports have officially kicked off. This Friday, the Cougar Athletic Leadership Council will be hosting their annual suicide awareness basketball game against our crosstown rival, Rochester High School, and good luck to our Cougars. The Student Council brought back our annual Stoney Creek Giving Tree, where families can purchase gift cards that are then donated to Stoney Creek families that are in need this holiday season. The families are completely anonymous. That's run through our school counselors, and we've had a ton of donations, which is really awesome to see help going around in our community. Along with the Giving Tree, we're also having a Holiday Spirit Week this week, where Monday we have Holiday PJ Day, that was today. Tuesday we have a Ski Lodge Day. On Wednesday we have Candy Cane Day, wearing red and white. Thursday is a Summer in Winter Day with summer clothes. And Friday is our Ugly Sweater Day and holiday accessories. Students are all super excited to be going on our upcoming holiday break, and we wish you all happy holidays and a new year.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks for being here. From the virtual campus, Paige.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paige Meisner from the virtual campus, and I'd like to talk about our Spirit Week this week from Monday through Friday. Monday is our Show Off Your Fancy Winter Hat Day, and I have a lot. Tuesday is Build a Fort or In Your Bed Day. Wednesday is Pajama and Stuffed Animal Day. Thursday is Sing-Along Day, and Friday is Movie Day, and I know that me and my family are going to spend it watching the new Spider-Man movie that comes out this Friday. I know everyone's excited for that. I'd also like to notice everyone about our sock donations that's going on right now. We have to drop them off at ACE, any type of socks, old socks, but please clean. Any material, brand, size, or color, we're going to be donating them to dog shelters so that they can stuff beds for them. And I'd like to remind all students to turn in any books that they've borrowed from the Schultz campus for classes, because I know that we're a little short on those lately. And I wish everyone a happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thanks, Paige. And finally, we have from the International Academy, Liv Serio.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liv Serio. I am a junior from the International Academy. Currently going on at IA, we've really been focusing on our upcoming midterms. We are the only school on this board right now that will be having midterms this year, but we're all very excited to get those over with and get into winter break. Along with that, we've been having a huge success with our Model UN team. We sweeped, I believe, 8 awards at our last conference, which was the Canadian American Security Council. We also have been having new auditions for our forensics team, which typically ranks statewide. Things are going great at IA. Just to close, I would like to reiterate that we are, I think I can speak on behalf of all the RCS students and student reps right here, that we are sending our love and thoughts to the victims, the survivors, and the parents at Oxford, and that, at least speaking for myself, that we are very excited to see and help any practices that the school board or administrators, staff is going to put into place to make school an even more safe environment, and we're all very happy to see that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of our student representatives, and good luck with this last week of classes, and enjoy your holidays. Thanks for being here. Next item on the agenda is citizens requesting placement on the agenda. Tonight we have 4 citizens who have requested to speak. We'll begin with Andrew Weaver, followed by Tim Holden. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak.
So my name's Andrew Weaver. I have 2 sons at Brooklands. So with the tragedies of Oxford, there's only one person that's responsible for the actions, but there's lots of people that are responsible for creating the environment. And unfortunately, the politics is it's still driving it. We are not going to move forward as a society, as a community, until we get out of the tribalism that affects us. We saw the politics from one of our board members within days of it coming out and advocating for a public
Please keep
policy.
your comments on the entire board, not to one individual board member, just as a reminder.
I'm going to speak to facts that came out and spoke of a political agenda. That has to stop. We are seeing teachers being named in lawsuits because of the culture that's created in these schools with politics that does not protect them. The environment, our students, our staff are under more risk from DEI than they are COVID. It is toxic. It creates the environment. From the time period of 2010 to 2017, there are 400 documented hate crime hoaxes, because there is so much racism and hatred in this country that 400 times it had to be faked. We just saw a trial where that was just recently done. Why are we driving a culture that drives hate into it? And we say we want to bring that into our schools. And if we don't think Oxford could happen in Rochester, the same exact behavior could happen. We've seen students be isolated for not wearing a mask. They aren't allowed to go back to class. They are removed. But then we have students that can threaten someone with a knife in a high school at Adams and be allowed to stay in class. Where there's more talk about what is being said and how it's being said, but that was a threat, an actual threat, and that student wasn't removed. And so if you don't think what happened at Oxford could happen in Rochester, you're kidding yourself. And yes, our teachers are the ones that have to bear it. Our teachers are the ones that have the pressure and trying to deal with this stuff because leadership allows it. Why are we okay with that? Why are we okay with having our kids in a world where we are driving racism? We are driving hatred of people. We just saw someone drive an SUV into children who absolutely was driven by race. That happened. We saw it. But yet we're going to say DEI is a good thing. Bringing in a racist ideology is a good thing. And you're going to hear people come up here and say, I'm the hateful one. And you're going to see all these different things. But the facts are what you see. 400 cases where someone had to fake hate crimes. But yet we have a problem, right?
Thank you. Next up is Tim Holden, followed by Brandy Broadbent.
Well, that was something. Good evening. My name is Tim Holden. I have 3 elementary-aged daughters within the Rochester School District, which I guess makes me a taxpayer as well. There is a loud but small group of people who are screaming about eliminating the DEI and SEL initiatives in the district, but I am not one of them. I am a white man in America, which is to say that I have not had to experience any adversity due to my racial makeup. And I can see where some would say there is no privileges, as they have no experience living it. It is sometimes hard to realize what we cannot or won't see. Having 3 African American daughters has brought a new personal perspective on why these initiatives are valuable. When my daughter came home upset because a boy told her he didn't want to play with her because of the color of her skin, I was relieved to learn a program was in place at the school where both children plus their teacher could talk about the situation and how to resolve it. When there was an All About Me project, my daughter wanted the construction paper that matched her skin, but her teacher didn't provide that color, I was relieved that a program was in place that could help the teacher understand the impacts the seemingly small event could have on a child. Likewise, I am so grateful that the DEI program has brought the importance of representation in literature to the staff at RCS. A very proud day for my two oldest girls was when the media teacher sent them books with main characters that looked like them. The girls were so excited to show my wife and I these books with girls with brown skin just like me. These examples, plus the others that have been spoken here before, are why the programs are so important. DEI education isn't just about race. My daughters will benefit from learning about differently able-bodied people, and they will benefit from learning about people who identify as a gender not assigned at birth. The DEI program celebrates the value of all of our children and strives to make them feel welcomed and safe. Why on earth would parents oppose this? I encourage all parents to reflect on their own experiences in K-12 education, and I am betting we will remember a time when DEI could have been a valuable part of our education in the 80s and 90s. But just like medicine, we know better now, so we do better. I am proud to be sending my girls to a school district that respects them, respects their peers, and is willing to spend the resources needed on such important work. To all of our board members, administrators, and Dr. Shaner, thank you for valuing my kids. It's important that you hear from those who support you. There are many of us, and thank you for your leadership. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Brandy Broadbent, followed by Deanna Harless. Brandy.
Hello, I'm Brandy Broadbent, PhD, veteran of 2 wars, writer, scientist, and most importantly, mother to Elise, a 2nd grader at University Hills, and Michaela, a 7th grader at West Middle School. I am also a member of Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. Tonight, I should be at St. Paul's Methodist Church, enjoying the West Middle School choir, listening to my daughter sing at the holiday concert, and celebrating this time with my family. However, Michaela is disappointed with me for not attending. She's mad at me, and she cried. However, those tears today were not the same as they were on the night of the Oxford deaths. The tears that night were from a terrified child who could not make sense of her world, and neither can I. As a mother, my first priority is my children's safety, and the deaths at Oxford remind me again that gun violence in schools happens everywhere. Part of the MDA outreach program is called Be Smart, to bring together parents and all adults concerned about kids, guns, and safety. SMART is an acronym. S, secure all guns with a lock or in a locked cabinet and lock up ammunition separately. M, model responsible behavior. It is the adults who are responsible for keeping guns away from curious children. A, ask about unsecured guns in the homes your children visit. R, recognize the role of guns in suicide. As we know, our children have developing brains and often make impulsive decisions. 90% of suicide attempts with a gun result in death, a much higher fatality rate than any other means of self-harm. And T, tell your peers to be smart. As parents, the safety of our children comes first. Our schools should be a safe place for children to grow and learn, and we can do better as a community by encouraging safe gun storage. The horrific events in Oxford bring home that we need to do better to ensure our children's safety. In Michigan, firearms are the #2 cause of death for children and teens. This statistic is simply unacceptable in the state we love and call home. Moms Demand Action would like to see the Be Smart program incorporated into the health and wellness initiatives of Rochester Community Schools. To reach this goal, we think the Be Smart website should be included in links provided through communication. The district should encourage schools to welcome Be Smart presenters to share the message. We would also like Be Smart literature to be sent home to district families. We know that safety and education are paramount to the RCS family, and it is time for all of us to be smart. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next, we have Deanna Harless. Is Deanna here? Deanna Harless? Next on our agenda, members of the Board of Education. Can board members please share any communications or any other announcements that they have right now? Michelle.
I received 2 emails since our last meeting. One was from Jessica Opfer discussing how questions are answered during public comment. And one was from Trevor Crank from the Oakland County Elections Division, who was just asking to confirm who was selected to fill our open board seat this past summer. I also had the opportunity, along with Barb Annis, in November to check out what I would call a super cool and fun mobile STEM lab called STEM-I, and they were visiting RCS, and it's an Oakland County school project that's been in development for several years, and the mobile lab provides 1,000 square feet of interactive, high-tech industry equipment that provides learners the opportunity to build career awareness through hands-on experiences with autonomous vehicles, collaborative robots, extended reality, and smart manufacturing. So it was a great opportunity for some of our students to be able to go through that. I was also able to represent the board at the PTA council meeting, where we were treated with hearing the Stoney Creek High School Orchestra and the Chamber Choir perform. Both were amazing, and it was hard to believe that this was the first year of orchestra at the high school level. And last, I'm the liaison to the Rochester Area Youth Assistance, and it's been a very busy last couple of weeks. We had our monthly meeting. There was also our annual meeting. And on Friday, December 3rd, I volunteered with Raya to help at the Kris Kringle fundraiser event. And Raya provides financial assistance, counseling, and family education. And if anyone needs any of the support, I encourage you to go to their website, Raya, RAYA-MI.org. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other board member updates? Barb?
I did also attend a demo in the STEM MI portable lab, and just want to say what a great investment at the intermediate school district level that Oakland Schools has put into that program. It will be available for the next 5 years. It will be traveling around to every district within Oakland County, and it's going to be a great resource for our students at a middle and high school level. And also a great partnership with our counselors at all of those schools too, to encourage our kids to, explore career paths of a myriad of different kinds. And then I also want to say I did attend the Raya annual meeting, which was online. And if anyone has an opportunity to check out their website, there's a lot of ways to be involved with that great organization. One of them is mentoring young adults in our community, and I know that they're trying to start that program up again, so I'd love to be able to see folks in our community get involved in that respect. So thank you.
Joe.
Thank you, Madam President. I received emails and had a telephone call with Ann Ehlert for the PAC activities and the importance of the PAC action items. I also received email correspondence from Carol Beth LeCouey with concerns over district FOIA procedures.
Thank you. Kevin.
So this was the third straight year that our board teamed up with our cabinet and partnered with New Day Foundation for families to adopt a family in need who is enduring a fight with cancer. We, through our the amazing generosity of these people, we were able to make the holidays extremely special for this family who is under amazing duress. And we literally filled an SUV with gifts, and Joe and I were able to personally deliver those gifts to the grandma last week. So I to the cabinet and to our colleagues here, thank you so much for your community, your sense of community, your love, and your dedication to so many good things. And I can see right here in the front row, Gina and Michael Spain, who are the co-founders of New Day Foundation for Families. Please take our genuine thanks back to all involved with your foundation. And the work you guys are doing in the community is phenomenal. And please thank everybody for us. Thank you.
I ditto that. I think that's all the board member communications we have. And moving on with our agenda, the last item under communications, last but not least, I think I saw Lisa Roscoe. Lisa Roscoe, please come tell us what the PTA is up to.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. We finished up November with our last meeting before break. The council has been working on Founders Day and the council awards. We do have those names, but until everybody's notified, I can't divulge that information. But please save the date for February 17th, which is our Founders Day celebration of all of our volunteers. We are also working on each of the schools' reflections programs have turned their artwork in to Jamie for district judging. And once that's judged, the winners will go on to states, which will be turned in January 15th for the state of Michigan. And all I want to say is everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and enjoy your time with your family and a time to reset, and we'll get back to work come January. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you to all of the PTA for all of the work that you do. Item 5, consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by the board. They will be acted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any member of the board or any citizen requests discussion of an item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will become the first item of business under the new business portion of the agenda. Item 5.1, current bills payable for November 1st through November 30th, 2021 in the amount of $15,161,213.57. Item 5.2, Board of Education regular meeting minutes for November 15th, 2021. Item 5.3, Board of Education closed meeting minutes for November 29th, 2021. Item 5.4, Board of Education closed meeting minutes for December 8th, 2021. Item 5.5, District Emergency Operations Plans. Would any board member or any member of the public like to remove an item for discussion? I'm sorry? We'll remove item 5.1 from the consent agenda and discuss that under new business. The consent agenda includes items 5.2 through 5.5. I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Moved by Joe, seconded by Barb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's a 6-0 vote. Item 6, Superintendent reports. Dr. Shaner.
Thank you, Madam President. I thought it would be appropriate just to spend a few minutes talking about the question on everyone's mind, safety and well-being of our students and our staff. I think the most important thing to say about this is there's going to be a lot of lessons learned as we move forward, and school security is always something that's that's under continuous scrutiny and review. But there's just a couple of things that I thought the community might appreciate to hear, in the members of the audience. First and foremost, we enjoy a very long relationship with a very effective school liaison officer program. Rochester is one of the first school districts in the state of Michigan to have a liaison program, well, long before I ever got here. But we have a great relationship with the Rochester Police Department and the Oakland County Sheriff's Department. And one of the few school districts that has liaison officers actually assigned in our elementary schools all the way through 12th grade. So in 2013, if you may remember, we passed a bond. One of the things that we put in the school districts, and none of our schools had, were secure vestibules with cameras, with electronic entrances, and those have been put in all of our school buildings. We also removed all outside reportable classrooms, which is also an enormous safety concern in terms of being able to secure a facility like that. Also, on our classroom doors, we made sure every classroom door had an inside lock that could be locked only from the inside in case of an emergency. Those do coincide well with the local fire code to make sure that they can be open in case of a different type of emergency. Also, with the bond, we were able to install an enormous amount of technology infrastructure and improve emergency notification system, including radios, and most importantly, an elaborate camera system that the school district did not have prior to the bond. We had very few cameras in the high schools and almost no cameras in the middle school and the elementary schools, and that has been remedied. In 2018, the district critical incidents team was restructured to include community stakeholders. One of the outcomes of that was an easy one-page guideline for emergency situations that now resides in each classroom. In 2018, also with a grant from the Michigan State Police, we were able to use a contractor by the name of Firestorm to help the district redevelop and update emergency response plans for each building. Also in 2019, we were the recipients of a grant from the RCS Foundation to make go bags available for each of our schools. So when we do evacuate, we have all the necessary equipment that we need to take outside. We also made a Narcan available in all of our buildings that year. And window film was added as well. You may notice that the unique window film in each school was at Brooklands today, the green window film, that is actually, as well as it's attractive, it also it helps us with security in terms of those secure vestibules. Recent training, our staff officer Dreamer was able to do an excellent video that's been circulated through our staff beginning in March of 2020. As you can imagine, training throughout the pandemic has been challenging, but recently, this last week, we were able to overview some more training with staff the Friday after the tragedy to make sure that we were all a little bit more comfortable with our procedures and protocols. We continue to use OK to Say in the suicide hotline. Both of those things were placed in the back of district ID cards as a result of initiative by 2 students at Adams High School. And furthermore, that's a state law now. If a school district actually it produces ID cards, it has to be on there. So never underestimate the power of our kids. OK to Say is also a bookmark for students and staff in our Chromebooks. If you're wondering what drills look like, each of our schools conducts structured and unstructured drills every year. There's 5 fire drills, 3 lockdown drills, which can include a shelter in place as well as a lockdown that would involve the situation with an active shooter. We also do 2 tornado drills a year. Our liaison officers, we have 5 liaison officers and 15 staff from SafeEd. And you know, we try to share as much as we can, but it's also important to know that with some of our procedures and tactics, we'd like to keep them as confidential as possible, as to not to get them into the wrong hands. We continue to work closely with the Oakland County Sheriff. You noticed that Sheriff Bichard said several times in his press conferences that schools in Oakland County all employ the run, hide, fight methodology. And also on all of our emergency cards, the word empowerment is on top of our emergency cards, just to remind our staff that when something happens, they're empowered to do what it is they need to do to keep themselves and their students safe, and to exercise that discretion that they may need. Again, we're going to have a lot to learn from this. We continue to look at a myriad of adjustments to our safety protocols, and we'll continue to train, and we have more training that's scheduled coming up in January. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shaner. Now we're on to new business. New business, the first item will be item 5.1 from the consent agenda, current bills payable for November 1st through November 30th, 2021 in the amount of $15,161,213.57. I'll take a motion to approve the account payable. Moved by Mike, seconded by Barb. Discussion? Public comment on this item? Mr. Weaver.
So one of the questions is, why are we still looking at approving stuff after the bills have already been paid? It's December. So that's something that's been brought up by multiple parents multiple times, and yet we just continue to see it being done. Why would we be approving something that's already happened? Isn't that, again, the board's job to actually approve it before it happens? I mean, that's what the word approve means, last time I checked. Also, what service contracts were paid through that? Is another question that a parent has that wasn't able to make it, so just want to get that on record as well. Thank you.
Any other public comment? I'll take a vote to approve the accounts payable. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's a 6-0 vote. Item 7.1, the 2020-2021 financial audit. This is an action item, and I am excited to introduce our Executive Director of Business Operations, Matt McDaniel, to walk us through the audit.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President. I'd also like to introduce Akshay Kapoor, Principal at Lewis & Knopf, who conducted our audit. And actually, I'll turn it right over to him to talk a little bit about the audit.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to thank the board, Dr. Shaner and the board and the staff actually giving us an opportunity, Lewis & Knopf, to perform the audit for Rochester Community Schools for 2020-21. I just wanted to thank Matt, Dana, and Christy actually for giving us 5 days of their time to perform the audit. We were a total of 5 CPAs that were here to do the audit, and I was the lead auditor for the school. I just wanted to give you a little bit background of Lewis & Knopf and how the audit actually, what we are required to do, and also how does we are actually tested by the state as well. So Lewis & Knopf actually has been around for 85 plus years, and I've been with Lewis & Knopf for 18 years. And we actually go through a peer review every 3 years with the state of Michigan, and then they look at all our files, all the audits that we perform, and they make sure actually that we are doing the due diligence and we are doing the professional skepticism with the audits. Having said that, we basically come here to the school district. We look at the internal controls. We just make sure everything is actually done properly and has been followed by the district according to the procedures and policy laid out by the district. Again, I'm actually happy to say the district received an unmodified audit opinion. This is the highest level of assurance that can be provided by for the audit. We were, like I said, we were here for 5 days, and then we actually work at the office for a few other weeks and make sure actually that everything is done properly to report on the financial statements. We have another partner that is involved into the audit who is not actually on the field work, but he always actually look at the whole audit report to make sure actually that we have used our professional skepticism during the audit. During the audit, we are required to do a federal audit, which is a uniform guidance that we have to do. We selected CRF funding this year. It was a little high risk because it was a new program, and it was around 1.7 million. We are supposed to look at 60 transactions while we are performing the federal audit, and we looked at the federal audit, and then we did not find any material weaknesses or any deficiency in the internal controls on the 60 transactions that we audited. We didn't have, and we go through the walkthrough testing for each cycle, like a revenue cycle, the disbursement cycles, and the payroll. And we select almost 5 items from each cycle, and we did not find any internal control issues. We didn't have any journal entries that were posted, so that's very commending effort from Dana, from Matt and Christy, and also taking 5 days away from them, basically doing their regular job and then helping us through the audit, because we are probably trying to do the whole 1 year of work that they have done in 5 days. So I really thank you for the effort. I will pass on to you for the next slide.
Yeah, so one important piece to remember is that this is the district's audited financials. So it's the district's financials, and we're going to report on them. Cindy, do you have the presentation? Can you put that on the screen? So again, just to summarize what Akshay said, district received an unmodified audit opinion, and that's the highest level of assurance possible for district financial statements. So next we'll get into the financials. And on the next slide, you'll see fall state aid membership. You'll see that in 2019-20, that membership reached a high of the data that we're showing of 15,410. In 2021, that dropped to 15,316. And that's important because the district's funded by the number of pupils that we have. So on the next slide, you'll see what that foundational allowance is. Looking back to 2010-11, that was $8,348. We had the cut in 11-12 and have been, each year getting closer back to that 8348. And over the last 3 years, we've actually finally exceeded that 8348 that was back in 2010-11 was the student per pupil funding. So, as I said, the majority of our funding comes from state aid, and you'll see on the next slide the chart that the majority in the green there is state funding, 4% is federal, and then about 11% is property taxes. Going on to the next slide, we are looking at due from state and other governmental units. So the district has modified accrual accounting. What that means is essentially we're cash accounting until the very last day of the fiscal year. So at June 30th, based on our expenditures, typically for staff salaries and benefits, we are owed money from either the state or the federal government, and that's what's reflected here. At the end of the 2021, we were owed just under $30.5 million, a little bit higher than previous years, partly because there was more federal funding out there due to COVID, and partly because, again, there was so much money out there that we had to make sure that everything that we did complied with federal and state standards. So we took our time with that rather than get an audit finding from Akshay. We wanted to make sure that everything was done correctly, and that delayed some of the draws that we would have typically done by June 30th so that we could lower that number.
Also, the state revenues have been up from last year too, so that's probably the 2 months of money actually that's sitting in there as well for the receivables.
On the next slide, you'll see that expenditures, essentially we are a people business, right? So 81% of general fund expenditures are all about salaries and benefits. 11% is purchase services, 3% is supplies and materials, and then the rest is capital outlay and some other expenditures, which could include dues and fees and payments to other school districts. So ultimately, what did that mean for the district as a whole in the general fund? As you can see on that chart, over the last few years, revenues have exceeded expenditures by a large portion. In this last year, there was a small increase or addition to fund balance, so revenues were very, very close to expenditures. There was about an $80,000 increase to fund balance. And you'll actually see that on the next slide, that fund balance increased from $38,528,000 to $38,610,000. So there was a period there where, with the decline in state aid, fund balance was used to continue district programming, and then since about 14-15, district has been able to add fund balance each year. And then on the next slide, you'll see just the breakdown. There's a few different types of fund balance. There's non-spendable, which is our prepaid items and inventory. There's assigned, unassigned, but key here, total fund balance 610. So now we'll quickly look at the other funds. This is the bond fund, the $185 million bond. Revenue here, $81,841, but as it's the bond, we're spending down that money, and in the next year or two, we need to spend all of that money. So we spent $17 million, almost $17.5 million there. And you'll see what that's done to fund balance on the next slide. Series 1 issued in 15-16, almost $124 million. We spent that money down, and then in 18-19 issued Series 2, and then we've been spending that money down ever since. So 18-238 ending fund balance for 2021, and we'll continue to utilize that bond fund this year. Looking at non-major funds, revenues and expenditures, the Caring Steps Fund, even the bookstore fund, use of fund balance, same for the debt fund, as well as the food service fund. The sinking fund added to fund balance, student activities broke even. When we look at fund balance, there's two keys to remember as you see that we're spending down the debt fund and the food service fund. One, we have too much money in the food service fund balance, so it's a federal requirement that we continue to spend that money down until we get no greater than 3 months of average expenditures. And the debt fund, we've had several debt issues fall off, so we're no longer paying on those, so we don't need to carry as large a fund balance as we would have in the past. All right, so that is it on the financials, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the other information that we share. Are there any questions from the board on this financial piece? I know I went through it rather quickly. All right, Kevin.
Real quick, just confirm for me, it's one of the earliest slides. We're operating essentially with the same amount of money today that we had 10 or 11 years ago, correct? Is that what that early slide was about?
In 2010-11 school year, the per pupil funding was $8,348 per student. Last year was $8,529, the same as the previous year. It took until 18-19 to actually exceed that amount from 10-11.
Okay. All right, thank you.
That's just a state allowance kind of that you're looking at, but we do have other fundings that come into play for the district.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so next we'll look at some new information that when we started providing a comprehensive annual financial report, we added the statistical section, and you'll see the 5 sections there. The first one that we'll take a look at is economic considerations. And that is the retirement rate. So Cindy, if we could move to just one more slide. So you see the retirement rate there. The total cost to the district is 42.72% of salary, though the state offsets that cost. So the true or the net total is 28.21% that the district has to pay for every dollar of salary. One piece to look at is in 11-12, that was 24.46%. That's increased to 28.21%. So that's, while we're getting a funding increase, retirement costs are also increasing to take up some of that funding that would have been different in 10-11. The other flip side of that really is MEPSR's membership. So one of the reasons why the retirement rate is increasing is if you look at the next slide, you'll see that the number of active members just a few years ago is now exceeded by the number of retired members. And that took a sharp turn in 2019, a big difference, about, 50,000 members are retired more than what's paying into the system. And Akshay is actually going to talk a little bit about that next. So Akshay is going to talk about upcoming pronouncements and then talk about the pension and Opeb liability.
So this is a new requirement, GASB 87, that's coming into play in June 30th, 2022. It's going to be effective. It was going to be effective in 2019, but they delayed that GASB. So it's a lease accounting. So if you have any leases, which the district doesn't have any leases, but if you have a lease for 5 years, now you have to record as a liability on the books for 5 years, and then it has to be recorded on the government-wide financial statements. And right now, actually, what we do is actually if we have a lease, we just expense it through the books, and it doesn't go as a government-wide financial statement addition. So you will see a reconciliation made in there. If there's a lease, that will be recorded as a liability on the books. Could you move the slide, please, to the next one? This is the ugliest slide you're going to see in the financial statements. So this is the Opeb pension benefits. This requirement came back in 2014-15 when the state actually wanted to record everything onto the books for the government-wide financial statement for the districts. So the pension liability, if you just look at the Rochester Community Schools unfunded pension liability, is $335 million, and then OPEB liability is $53.3 million. So the OPEB liability has gone down compared to last year, but the unfunded pension liability has gone up again. Now, like Matt said, actually there could be various reasons actually for that pension liability to go up. One are actually if you have its life expectancy goes up or the market goes down, that pension liability actually goes higher. The contribution rates you have seen actually they're going up every year, and then but also the state actually is providing that on the state aid side, some of the relief to the districts by providing some of the money for the pension benefits. But it does not have any. So if you look at the government-wide financial statements, your net your balance sheet probably will look as a negative number on the net assets, but it does not have any impact on the general fund. It just for the government-wide financial statement that is reported on the financial statements.
Yeah, and finally, we just want to say thank you. Thank you to the Board of Education. Thank you to Mike Zabit and Joe Patel and Scott Muska, who get to sit in on the SAS 99 meetings
meeting, yep.
That are conducted by the auditors, where they ask our board members questions. Thanks you to Dr. Shaner and our cabinet team, to the business office team and Christy Beakey and her team, as well as HR, our building administrators and our bookkeepers who are doing the accounting at all of their building levels, and all of our teachers and support staff, as well as Akshay Kapoor and the whole Lewis and Elf team. Any other questions?
Why don't we take a motion to approve the audit as presented, and then we'll take questions or comments. So motion to approve the audit, moved by Michelle, seconded by Barb. A discussion or questions? Congratulations, Matt, for the fastest audit report presentation that I've ever been a part of. Any questions? Mike, did you want to say anything?
There was a slide earlier, and I just wanted to point it out that we had like funds due from state and other governments, all right, for the general fund. At the end of June, that was upwards of $30 million, and I point to that because it kind of heightens the importance of keeping our fund balance above that level, because that was a month, basically it would have drained our fund balance if we didn't have enough to make it.
Thank you, Mike. That's a great point. So our fiscal year starts July 1st. We don't receive our first state aid payment until October 20th. So, that timing issue causes challenges, and having a fund balance, a healthy fund balance, allows us to continue to make payroll without having to borrow from a bank. Also enables us to do some other things. So that gives us flexibility to operate our organization without having to worry about additional interests or other fees that we'd have to incur. Some other school districts do, right? There's a huge state aid anticipation note, or borrowing note that is statewide, right? It's a state program that's offered for school districts that, need that service.
And 21% of the total expenditures for 1 month, actually, that's a pretty good, actually, fund balance to have. Anything above 15% is nice. Now we don't want to go overboard and have a 35-40% fund balance, because we are here to provide education to kids, and we want to use that money to provide education. So I would say probably 21% is a great number to have, because you need some money actually for any unforeseen events. You may have some capital improvements come in, you may have some other things come in. COVID had quite a bit, even though we got funding from the federal government, but it had a big impact on the school districts. So I think actually the 21% is probably a great number to have as a cushion for the fund balance.
Joe, did you have a question?
Madam President, Mike Zavitz stole my thunder rather unceremoniously, so let me just say this is a great example of strong fiscal management, and so I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for this, Akshay. Thanks for being here as well. I will just mention that I think slide 18, and Cindy, I don't know if you can show that slide again, but this is one that I think has always been a slide during our audits that has been concerning. And I think that the trajectory of that, and this is the MIFSR slide, so it's showing the current members in relationship to the funded members. And, as we move forward as a board and an organization and as a system statewide, I think this is one of the biggest concerns. That's all I wanted to say. With that, do we have any public comment on the audit? With that, I will take a motion to approve the 2020-2021 financial audit. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? And that is a 6-0 vote. We already had a motion for that. Sorry about that. Item 6, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Item 7.2, Human Resources Report. Our Chief Human Resources Officer, Beth Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, we have a number of REA resignations. Jacqueline Allen, ATPS teacher, Dr. Schultz, Educational Campus. Effective December 10th, 2021. She has been with the district since August of 2018. Angela Bussinger, science teacher at Hart Middle School, submitted her letter of resignation effective December 17th. She's been with the district since August of 2021. Kaylee Esslinger, art teacher at Baldwin Elementary, submitted her letter of resignation effective December 17th, 2021. She's been with the district since August of 2018. Melissa Hakala, psychologist, district-wide, submitted her letter of resignation effective October 29th, 2021. She's been with the district since August of 2008. Kelsey Lazinski, ASD teacher, Meadowbrook Elementary, submitted her letter of resignation effective December 10th, 2021. She had been with the district since August of 2018. Melissa Weishup, fourth grade teacher at McGregor Elementary, submitted her letter of resignation effective December 17th, 2021. She's been with the district since August of 2021. Alexandra Zaratanello, EI teacher at West Middle School, submitted her letter of resignation effective October 23rd. She'd been with the district since August of 2021. We have one REA retirement. Jan Dillon, language arts teacher at Stoney Creek High School, submitted her letter of resignation or retirement effective December 31st, 2021. She's been with the district since September of 1987. We have a number of new hires. Monica Bell, occupational therapist, district-wide. Kimberly Brogan, resource room teacher at Longmeadow and the virtual campus. Lena Campbell, social worker, Dr. Schultz campus. Megan Caswell-Pohl, psychologist, district-wide. Candace Cohen, resource room teacher at Meadowbrook Elementary. Vanessa Coverdale, ASD teacher, consultant, district-wide. Kyle Curtis, ASD teacher, consultant, district-wide. Michelle Fletcher, ASD teacher, Musson Elementary. Valerie Malik, social worker, West and Van Hoosen Middle Schools. Suzanne McClellan, speech and language pathologist, Meadowbrook and University Hills, Melanie Mikolas, psychologist district-wide, Jillian Moss, EI teacher, West Middle School, Megan Rem, science teacher, Stoney Creek High School, Amanda Ricketts, social worker, district-wide, Kimberly Rodriguez, resource room teacher at Musson and North Hill Elementary, Eric Thompson, PE teacher, University Hills and Longmeadow Elementary, Jordan Triner, counselor at Hart Middle School. We also are making the recommendation of appointments of 2 accountants. We're recommending the appointment of Catherine Lang to the position of accountant. She's worked most recently as a staff auditor for Bertlick and Company PLLC. Prior to that position, she was a teller at Michigan Schools and Government Credit Union. Early in her career, Kathy worked as a controller for Ronner Industries, Inc., and held accounting positions with several accounting firms. Kathy holds a Bachelor of Business Administration in Professional Accounting from University of Michigan Dearborn. We are also recommending the appointment of Kerrigan Less to the position of accountant. Ms. Less comes to us from Crestview Cadillac, where she was a biller title clerk and assistant office manager. Prior to that position, she was the controller for Visionary Payroll Solutions and an associate accountant at Kroski-Lani PC. Kerrigan holds a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from Oakland University and anticipates receiving her master's degree in accounting from Oakland University in December of 2021. That completes my report.
Thank you, Beth. I'll take a motion to approve the HR report as presented. Moved by Michelle, seconded by Kevin. Discussion or questions from board members? Is there any public comment on this topic, on this action item? Seeing none, we will take a vote. All those in favor of the HR report, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's a 6-0 vote. And welcome to the new hires, the new REA hires, as well as Catherine and Kerrigan. I understand they aren't here tonight, but we welcome them to RCS. Item 7.3, budget amendment. This is an action item. Matt.
Thank you, Madam President. So as the board is aware, the budget resolution is the approval by the board to allow the district to begin spending money. Tonight is the second amendment of the general fund. The general fund budget revenue increases $2,929,097, primarily due to the current year revenue recognition and use of federal COVID-19 pandemic funding. General fund budget expenditures increase $544,280 related to adjustments to staffing, salary, and benefit costs, as well as other operational costs. As a result, the overall fund balance is projected to decrease by $1,856,414 to $36,753,884. This use of fund balance is very similar to the original budget that was approved by the Board of Education in June of 21. The original budget was based on the 2021 school year budget with many different assumptions added. The second amendment includes updates to forecasted state revenue with known per pupil funding amount of $8,700 per pupil. Other state grants have also been updated based on final allocations from the state. However, there will continue to be some fluctuations in state per pupil revenue due to Section 25E. Section 25E allows school districts to capture a prorated portion of funding if a student enrolls in the district between the October fall count and the February spring count day. Federal revenue has increased due to the use of the COVID-19 one-time funding. However, there are several COVID-19 grants that aren't captured in this budget. These include ESSER 2, ESSER 2 equalization, ESSER 3 equalization, and a grant that we've applied for through FEMA. The district is in the process of planning and gaining approval from the Michigan Department of Education, or FEMA, to spend these amounts, and as such, they have not been included in this budget. The application for ESSER 3 funding is due December 15, 2021, so on Wednesday. And if approved by MDE, we will include that funding in the next budget amendment. Other federal funds will be added to the budget as approvals are gained. Expenditure amounts reflect updated salary and projections. The school year is in process and many staff positions have been filled. The district staffing model has been solidified and positions have been updated to reflect current staffing. There is a reserve created for open but unfilled positions, and operational costs have also been updated to reflect any changes in contractual amounts or services that were added, removed, or otherwise changed. On Wednesday last week, we reviewed the budget in detail with our board treasurer. Based on this information, we recommend that the Board of Education adopt the resolution for the second amendment of the general fund budget.
Thank you, Matt. I'll take a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented. Moved by Mike, seconded by Kevin. Board questions or discussion? And I know that this was presented to our treasurer, to Mike, last week. Michelle?
Matt, yes, I just wanted a little bit of clarification because you talked about the fund balance decreasing, but by the 1.6 million, 1.8 million, but in reality, from the first amendment, we're actually adding to our fund balance, correct?
No, the original budget that was approved was a use of $1.8 million of fund balance. In July, we amended the budget so that we could purchase school buses. That was just a one-line item amendment to expenditures, which increased the use of fund balance. Now that we've had an opportunity to go through all of the budget, right, we've tied revenue to source documents as well as our salary and benefit projections and other contracts. We're returning to a use of $1.8 million in fund balance.
Okay, so I'm looking at the budget amendment number 1, and it says at the end of the year, the fund balance should be 34.3 million. And after budget amendment 2, that our fund balance at the end of the year would be 36.75 million. So doesn't that imply that we're increasing the fund balance over the prior because we had increased revenues projected at this point?
Well, part of the initial fund balance, let me pull it up, the original budget is an unaudited number. So that is based on the final budget that we submitted to the board. So we don't know that fund balance until the audit is completed. That audit has to be completed by November 1st. So now, going forward, we've updated the fund balance now that it's an audited number.
Okay, I will get with you later because I am not.
Yep, so the original budget was a $1.8 million use. We added the bus purchase, which was $2.4 million, so that further decreased fund balance to $34,369,000. Now that we've trued up the budget, it has returned back to that $1.8 million. So essentially, if you took that bus purchase out, we would add to fund balance.
Right, okay.
Any other questions or comments on this?
Just real quick, the bus purchase finally got us back to a normal replacement schedule, so hopefully we'll never have buses that are older than they should be.
Which is awesome, yeah. Is there public comment on this budget amendment? If no further questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of the budget amendment as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is a 6-0 vote. Item 7.4, we're getting there. We have 2 more action items here. So item 7.4 is construction bid awards. And I believe we have 2 of them. So I think, Matt, you'll talk about, I think we have landscaping and fiber.
Yes, so
Okay.
you're correct. We have 2 bid awards. And first, we are going to discuss the landscaping award for the DeQuinder building. All landscaping bids were reviewed and evaluated by the Director of Capital Projects and Facilities and consultants at Grissom, Metz, and Andrees, a landscaping architecture firm. On August 26, 2021, the district advertised a request for proposals for landscaping improvements in the local publication, the Rochester Post, and posted RFP documents on the purchasing pages of the district's website, the State of Michigan procurement website, and BidNet Direct. On September 2nd, 2021, the district received 6 responses. The scope of the project includes landscaping improvements at the administration center located on DeQuinder Road. After an evaluation of bids, it was necessary to reduce the overall scope of the project in order to reduce the total project cost. The scope reduction is included in the attached comparison in the packet. Based on this information, we recommend that the Board of Education award the landscaping improvements 2021 project to Sinicori Landscaping in the amount of $179,997.
Technically, this is one action item, so we'll need to, are we prepared to talk about the fiber one as well? And then we can take a motion to approve both, and then discussion or questions.
All right, so on the fiber, Rochester Community Schools has owned its own self-provisioned fiber network that was installed in 2001 using Bond 1997 and Bond 2000 funds. Our fiber plant consists of 32 miles of fiber connecting 25 buildings. District-owned fiber is eligible for Category 1 E-rate reimbursement, which allows for 40% reimbursement on eligible expenses. In coordination with the district's E-rate consultant, RRR, and the Technology Services and Purchasing Departments, an RFP was issued to connect our district-wide fiber service to the new administration building. This project is addressing the infrastructure needs required to continue providing a robust, adaptive, state-of-the-art network. The district received 3 bids for lit fiber, 2 bids for dark fiber, and 3 bids for SPF or self-provision fiber. After a comprehensive analysis of the bids, it was determined that continuing with self-provision fiber would be the most cost-effective. All 3 of the SPF bids were evaluated and determined to be compliant. This is a technology bond project and has been coordinated with E-rate for an approximate reimbursement of 40% on eligible equipment and services. The expected E-rate filing amount of $272,175.55 carries an expected E-rate reimbursement of $108,870.22. RCS make-ready costs of approximately $70,000 are estimated. These make-ready costs are required to prepare utility poles to receive a new fiber attachment. Based on this information, we recommend that the Board of Education award the Fiber 2021 project to FiberLink in the amount of $272,175.55, plus make-ready costs of $70,000 and a 20% contingency of $55,000 for a total project cost of $397,175.55.
Thank you. I'll take a motion to approve the construction bid awards as presented. Moved by Barb, seconded by Mike. Discussion or questions from the board? I don't have any questions about either of these. I think they were explained really well in our packet. And I appreciate the explanation. Any public comment on this item? I see some hands. If you have a comment, you can come to the podium and then you can fill out a yellow card. Thank you. Please, if you can start by stating your name, please, for the record.
Stephanie Vandale, taxpayer. How much did you say that contingency fund was?
Point of order, Madam President. I think the speakers are permitted to ask direct questions of the administration.
Okay. Mr. Matt McDaniel, how much was the contingency fund? Anybody want to answer me? Could you repeat the number, please?
Mr. McDaniel, would you mind repeating the number of the contingency fund, please?
The number in the packet is 20%, $55,000.
$55,000. 20%. Army Test and Evaluation Command at Aberdeen Proving Grounds doesn't even charge the program executive offices more than 10% contingency fund. That is a bullshit number. Thank you.
Is there other public comment on this? I can see a hand in the back. Just come to the podium, please, and then make sure you fill out a yellow card.
My name is Jessica Opfer, and I simply would like to request that the district provide a published budget for this building. We were told in the frequently asked questions document that was distributed when the building was purchased that there was $3.6 million set aside for renovations and necessary repairs. There has been no information provided as to how that money is being doled out what we're spending that money on, except there was a list of items in that FAQ that included, I believe, the parking lot and lighting and some masonry joints. But we have now heard at multiple meetings about expenses, $600,000 in furniture, $400,000 for fiber optic cable, $180,000 for landscaping. None of those items was listed in the FAQ, and at the last meeting, we were told that there is no budget for all these things that need to be done. We don't know how much money we're going to spend on the building until we've, I guess, spent it. What happens when we go? I've documented, I believe, $1.5 million in expenses so far, but the masonry joints and the other things that were listed haven't even been brought up yet. Oh, flooring. Flooring was also brought up. So I think just establishing a budget moving forward for what we're actually spending on the building would be appropriate. It certainly is fiscally responsible. I've been through an entire home renovation. I know how these things work. You need to know how much you're going to spend before you spend it. You need to know how much you have to spend before you spend it. So I don't understand how we keep coming up with more agenda items, more budget items to approve when we don't have a budget for what this building is actually going to cost us. Thank you.
Other public comment? We'll take a vote for this. Construction bid awards as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That is a 6-0 vote. Our final item, action item tonight, is the superintendent evaluation and effectiveness rating. This is an action item for the board. The Michigan School Code requires the Board of Education to annually evaluate superintendents across 6 categories: visionary leadership, policy and governance, instructional leadership, communications and community relations, organizational management, and professionalism and ethics. In addition, 40% of the superintendent's evaluation rating is based on student growth and achievement data. In reviewing Dr. Shaner's work across all 6 of these categories over the past year, our Board of Education has reached consensus in rating Dr. Shaner as highly effective for the 2021 calendar year. I'll take a motion to approve the evaluation as presented. Moved by Mike, seconded by Kevin. And at this time, I'd like my colleagues to speak briefly to each of the 6 categories. At the conclusion of your comments, we'll have public comment, and following that, I will read into record the overall evaluation. So we'll start with Joe.
Thank you, Madam President. And with your permission, I'd like to discuss component 2 of the matrix, which governs policy and governance. The basis of this metric is compliance and understanding the law, but more importantly, it's building a trusting relationship with the board. Dr. Shaner's command of the law and public policy are very clear. His rapport with those who make the public policy on both sides of the aisle are a great asset to the district. What I'd like to focus on more here is his efforts to build a collaborative environment with this board. I've only been on this board 4 months. I don't have the personal history with Dr. Shaner that maybe some others do, but I can speak about what I've observed in these 4 months. Dr. Shaner has demonstrated that he respects our board and the differing opinions that we bring. He understands the role it plays in ensuring accountability and oversight. He builds trust. I trust him, and we trust him. So I'm very happy, Madam President, to suggest for this rating a highly effective rating, and I will vote in support of a highly effective rating overall.
Thank you, Joe. Barb.
The component that I'm going to speak to is visionary leadership. And in this particular category, the superintendent must articulate a strong vision for continuous improvement throughout the school district and focus on shaping the district's culture and teaching and learning. And what he is receiving a highly effective rating with this component as well, and my support as well for a highly effective rating overall. And I think what's been outstanding to see in the past almost 2 years of a pandemic is the fact that Dr. Shaner has been able to keep and maintain his focus not only on what the needs are in the present, but looking towards the future. And, let's face it, the global pandemic has not been something that's been easy to navigate for any public entity, let alone a public school district. And it's been fraught with uncertainty. And I think he's pivoted at a time when he's been able to address and tackle unforeseen challenges in teaching and learning specifically, yet staying the course for our students in the district and keeping the focus on the students themselves. But also at the same time being able to address the needs of faculty and staff in a time when everyone is going through some really trying times. So I've appreciated him being able to simultaneously focus on the present and the future with his clarity of purpose, and I appreciate his leadership in this role.
Thank you, Barb. Michelle.
I'm going to talk about instructional leadership, and in this category, it's we're evaluating whether the superintendent nurtures and sustains a culture of collaboration, trust, learning, and high expectations, creates a comprehensive, rigorous, and coherent curricular program, creates a personalized and motivating learning environment for students, and it goes on, including developing and nurturing a culture in which staff members are reflective about their practices and use student data, research, best practices, and theory to continuously adapt practice and achieve improvements for our students. And I believe that despite the chaos of this pandemic, that Dr. Shaner continued to provide instructional leadership to staff that focuses on meeting the needs of all students. Dr. Shaner sets high expectations and creates a culture of collaboration and trust with the staff that allows for the generation of ideas and best practices across the district to meet those expectations. The use of student data to drive individualized instruction is key to ensuring each student continues their individual growth. Professional development offerings have supported staff in areas that are most pertinent to them and their teaching. And I love that, during this time when we might not be able to have in-person instruction, that we were able to utilize technology as well to provide that, creating workshop-type environments where everyone can pick what they're interested in doing, what they need to learn. And then I think most importantly, through culturally responsive and trauma-informed teaching, cultures of thinking, and social and emotional learning, the district is focused on meeting the needs of the whole child, and a whole child approach is key to being able to fulfill the RCS mission. So I too support a highly effective in this area and overall.
Thank you, Michelle. Mike.
I'll speak to the professionalism and ethics standard. The standard evaluates the superintendent's conduct to ensure that he acts professionally and consistently with the core values, tenets, mission, and vision of the district, and models this conduct to district employees. Now, for posterity, it's important to capture the context of this evaluation. Since March 2020, we have been in the throes of a global pandemic that is unprecedented for most of us. As a community, we have been on a roller coaster ride of hopes and disappointment, spread out over 3 school years now. Many people are angry and on edge, frustrated by opportunities lost, and tired of the constant uncertainty. In spite of this, Dr. Shaner has remained the steady hand at the wheel that we have relied on. The pride and excellence that he brought to the district has become the cultural backbone of this organization. It has held up spectacularly in these difficult times, and Rochester Community Schools has continued to provide a world-class education for all of our students. Dr. Shaner has been a model servant leader for 9 years now. His honor, integrity, decency, and humanity are, in our eyes, unquestionable. We see beliefs in action not just as a motto. Our shared values, to include social emotional well-being, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and social justice, are clearly articulated and guide how students and staff work, lead, and learn. We stand behind his imperative that all means all. We believe we are lucky to have Dr. Shaner serving the district, in these times especially. We trust him and his team to always do what is best for the children of the district, and I support a highly effective rating.
Thank you, Mike. Kevin?
I'll speak to communication and community relations. The standard evaluates the superintendent's ability to communicate effectively with a very broad constituency, including both internal as well as external constituents. The systems that are in place is certainly one thing that is impressive in terms of communication. And the ability to do so in a heartfelt manner, also certainly to be commended. Another thing this standard focuses on is the superintendent's advocacy on behalf of the district with other government and community officials, and Dr. Shaner has earned a reputation of being a standard setter in that regard among his peers. So for this component, as well as in an overall sense, I certainly rate highly effective.
Thank you, Kevin. And then can you speak to organizational management? I know Scott
Right.
had written something on that.
Yeah, he did. Superintendent is responsible for the management of the district's resources while providing a successful learning environment for students and a productive workplace for staff. Scott Muska's comments, Dr. Shaner has demonstrated incredible resilience, adaptability to change, excellent decision-making, and has produced solid results in the responsible management of RCS resources in unprecedented circumstances. His effective management of finances, strategic handling of culture, teachers, staff, and the student experience has led to our district producing incredible results with kids. Furthermore, doing all of this in a transparent manner that is consistent with being internally motivated and externally focused, as well as maintaining a laser beam focused line of sight to business outcomes, is appreciated, expected, and admired. And it's a highly effective rating from Scott also.
Is there any public comment on this item? Mr. Weaver.
Okay, so for someone that makes almost $400,000 in total compensation, there's not one measurable metric on this. In what profession is that okay? I mean, honestly, what profession is it okay to not have a tangible, you have to achieve this, this, or this, and you can see if you did it? We heard a bunch of feelings around the table, which again goes back to where we're going in education. Under DEI, right? Everyone's opinion matters, what everyone feels. Facts don't matter anymore. Math doesn't matter anymore. So let's go through a couple of these things you wrote out. So someone mentioned, because again, I can't trust anyone by name, knowing policies and laws. The district has repeatedly, including the superintendent, misrepresented laws around COVID specifically, saying things had to be done that did not have to be done. They were the choice to be done. A board member said in July, leading up to not this school year, the one before, that the district's choice to open the virtual campus took a complex situation and made it more complex. That's a decision. That's fine to make it, but then you have to own it somewhere. So again, to keep glossing over these facts, then we talk about integrity and honesty. The superintendent sent an email to the entire RCS community claiming that a meeting was shut down because I wasn't wearing a mask on a day that I actually was wearing a mask and pulled it down like everybody else that spoke. But the meeting was canceled because the federal lawsuit against the district was brought up. And that email was blatantly dishonest. and yet not one board member had a thing to say about it. So again, this idea that it's okay to it's acceptable to just accept these dishonest things and be like, oh, it's good, highly effective. Like, it's almost laughable. If it wasn't our kids and it wasn't our community and it wasn't serious, it would be funny. We think it was a comedy show at this point of how many times you guys can come up here and just gloss over facts that this has not been transparent. The communication has been terrible. The honesty has not been there. The priorities have not been our kids. All does not mean all. Because again, this idea that people that had money and could afford to have resources or stay home with their kids, a lot of families don't have that. So that luxury benefit, the luxury belief that if everyone was going to be okay, isn't true. And that's the same stuff with this DEI stuff. People in the communities that need police don't think defunding the police is a good idea, as we're seeing crime rates skyrocket.
Let's
So
wrap up
again,
your comments.
when you have a review like this, it is completely a slap in the face to the community that, guess what, goes and get a real annual review that gets held accountable for their job. And they certainly don't make $400,000 a year.
Time's up. Any other public comment?
Stephanie Vandale, taxpayer extraordinaire. All means all. Interesting. You know, I seem to have a recollection that there have been so many students that have left this district because they have learning disabilities like dyslexia. Yeah, that's a word. Dyslexia, they have problems reading, and they actually have to go to different schools because this district doesn't pay or help them learn to read. Or parents have to spend extra money to get their dyslexic child up to level. So, all means all? Not really. You guys don't treat all means all equal.
Is there any other public comment? Go ahead and come to the podium. Please fill out a yellow card when you're done.
Hi, I'm Laura Cassar. I'm a Rochester parent. I just want to say thank you to Dr. Shaner. I agree with the board's outstanding review of him. I don't think the good people who see the good say it enough, but we see it, and thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Go ahead and come to the podium.
My name is John Opfer. I have 2 children in the district. Jessica Opfer is my wife. I've heard and seen over my years as a parent of the district many admirable qualities from Dr. Shaner in the district. However, I've also seen a dark side. On October 4th of this year, in a public forum, there was a verbal altercation that I really thought went over the lines of what is expected from a public person in the public presence. It's specific to the superintendent's role. And I would just make the following comments. I believe Dr. Shaner's behavior has repeatedly violated the following superintendent policies regarding community relationships and personal qualities, as found in section 1230 of RCS administration policies. Number E, community relationships. Solicits and attends to problems and opinions of all groups and individuals. That's section 2. Section 7, encourages community involvement in the schools and provides a mechanism for two-way communications with various groups. Section F, personal qualities. Performs job responsibilities in an enthusiastic, professional, and positive manner and handles conflict constructively and praise humbly. Number 5, it demonstrates ability to work well with individuals and groups. 7, maintains poise and emotional stability in the full range of professional activities. Number 10, thinks well on his or her feet when faced with unexpected or disturbing turn of events in a group meeting. And number 12, listens carefully and takes time to fully understand needs and concerns and reacts appropriately. I believe the superintendent's conduct also violates the Michigan Code of Educational Ethics, to which all district employees must adhere, according to Section 3219 of the RCS Human Resources Policies. This code holds education officials to a higher standard than required by law, including demonstrating ethical conduct at all times and engaging in effective communication with community members. It is the superintendent's responsibility to respond to criticism in a civil and ethical manner. That is the summation of my comments this evening.
Additional comments, go ahead and come to the podium. Yep, right here in the middle, yep.
Hello, my name is Jean Boyer, and I'm a Rochester Hills resident, and my daughter was a graduate of Rochester Hills Schools, community schools. She went from kindergarten through 12th grade, and I loved the district. She had a great time. All the teachers were wonderful. I've also am a retired Detroit public school teacher, and I know I worked one summer with RARA special education class for Rochester Community School students, and it was the envy of Detroit. I just want to make one comment that I am very impressed, I'm very proud of the students that spoke tonight. They are our future, they are our hope, and the way that they conducted themselves, they were awesome. Thank you.
Any other public comment on the evaluation? Seeing none, I'll just conclude by reading into the public record our overall comments related to the superintendent evaluation for the calendar year 2021. And Dr. Shaner, I know you're, like, above all things, you're very humble, so this is probably very difficult for you to hear all of us speak like this. So Dr. Shaner's integrity, along with his commitment to and passion for his work and his care for the Rochester Community Schools organization as a whole, are unwavering. In his 9th year of leading RCS, here are 3 key things Dr. Shaner taught all of us. Number 1, relationships matter. Dr. Shaner is a master relationship builder. During 2021, he has built or grown invaluable connections with Rochester community groups, with his peers across the county and state and nation, with local, state, and national lawmakers, and with our Board of Education. Most importantly, Dr. Shaner has worked to grow his relationships with RCS staff, from his cabinet to building administrators and teachers to support personnel. In cultivating these relationships, Dr. Shaner is empathetic, pragmatic, and responsive. Number 2, culture is our capital. The RCS beliefs in action are a way of daily life for our organization. These beliefs put a high value on accountability, trust, collaboration, diversity of thought throughout the organization. They also help ensure that every action has a profound positive impact on all kids. Dr. Shaner leads this organization with culture top of mind. We value his mentality and the way it has permeated every level of this organization. Number 3, all means all. Throughout the past year, Dr. Shaner has shown unwavering commitment to 2 key RCS pillars at a time when they were needed most: trauma-informed instruction and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Trauma-informed instruction. The social, emotional wellness of our staff and students is more important now than ever before. Dr. Shaner has taken steps to advance this priority at all levels. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Every RCS student deserves a world-class education. This is not a political philosophy. This is who we are, what we believe in, and what every child should expect. Dr. Shaner is the true definition of servant leader. His focus is the growth and well-being of the RCS community. He puts RCS students first always. They are his main thing, his compelling why. Over the past year, Dr. Shaner has demonstrated adaptability to change when change was needed, sometimes at a moment's notice. He has also demonstrated indescribable resiliency in the face of personal tragedy. And I'm sorry, that word resiliency has been overused, and it's not the right word for this, and I don't have the right word. I wish I had the right word. I don't have the right word for what you have demonstrated and what you have overcome. Through all of this, we have trusted him to keep our students and our staff safe, to provide them with a quality education so they can become lifelong learners and contribute to a diverse, interdependent, and changing world. But most of all, to make sure they are cared for and loved. Dr. Shaner, you are a highly effective leader, and we are so proud to serve alongside you. I'll take a vote on this. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? That's a 6-0 vote. Congratulations, Dr. Shaner. We're so proud to serve alongside you.
Quickly.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to let you speak. Go ahead. Sorry
That's
about
okay.
that.
That may be the most awkward process known to mankind, but necessary, I realize. First of all, I'm humbled by the words, and I'm honored to serve this organization. And I so appreciate the grace of God that you've all shown me and my family. And I appreciate you recognizing the fact how difficult it is each and every day to stay focused on what we need to stay focused on, which is serving the children of the school district and making sure that our employees are taken care of as well. There's sometimes I can't, I'm often not a little lost for words, but I want to show my gratitude to you all for everything that you've supported us with, and your recognition that it is really, really hard work and has been a very difficult 3 school years. I know there's angry people out there. I know there's people out there that have suspicions of all kinds of conspiracies. These are just really good people trying to do really good by your kids, and I appreciate you for recognizing that. Thank you.
May I add? Thank you. It's not often Dr. Shaner's at a loss for words, so I am savoring this moment a little bit. A wise friend said to me earlier tonight, Ernest Hemingway may have been the one to say, "Courage is grace under pressure." Dr. Shaner, on behalf of our administrative team, our cabinet team, our students, our staff members, every employee in this district, thank you for having the courage and grace under the pressure that this last year has brought. Thank you.
Additional business, citizens present at the meeting tonight. Are there any citizens? Yes, we do have yellow cards. Carol Beth Lecouey, followed by, I'm sorry, I can't read this. It looks like Burke Gwenny. Carol Beth.
Hi, my name is Carol Beth Lecouey, and I have 2 kids at RCS. I'm sorry to say that I've experienced a coordinated lack of transparency from the district's administration up through the superintendent regarding class curriculum and the removal of advanced language arts in the middle schools. I spoke about this at the board meeting on November 15th. In short, all of my requests for class curriculum have been denied, and the FOIA coordinator said she will not ask the teacher for any material. Also, the FOIA coordinator blocked the curriculum consultant from sharing additional data with me about the removal of advanced language arts. As of now, 1 board member has been inquiring on my behalf, and I very much appreciate his help. I would like to request help from the rest of the board as well to try to resolve this issue. As parents, we have a right to know what kids are being taught in the district and to fully understand why advanced classes are being removed. Thank you.
Burke?
Honorable Board, Superintendent Shaner, I was quite astonished to hear this last lady indicate that she can't get information from the proper authorities regarding instruction in class. This board is supposed to be representative, I thought, of the public. But I'm here talking about this evening, could Oxford's tragedy been avoided? Everybody knew in advance in the administration of that school that they had a time bomb. There was enough evidence way in advance. But yet, why didn't they contact the liaison officer, at least on the critical day? And more importantly, if it was that serious, why did they bring him even into the school? He should have been sequestered or met somewhere off premises, in my opinion. And I think parents of that grade at least deserved to have notice, every student in that grade be notified that there is a problem with one of the persons in that grade. So those parents might be saying, I'm not going to have my student attending until it gets resolved. And the bottom line is, folks, they hid it. That Oxford administration hid it. They shouldn't have hid it. It's a great lesson for all of us. And I wish you all a very Merry Christmas.
Stephanie Van Dale.
My name is Stephanie Van Dale, and I'm a taxpayer. Language changes constantly. The words I used only a few short weeks ago now have different definitions. Apparently, I now speak in code, and I had no idea. One of the last times that I spoke to this board, I stated that I wanted full and open transparency of the board. I thought you knew what I meant. I can no longer assume you know what that means if you think I'm talking in some code. The superintendent certainly can't help any of you since he stated to the media that parents are talking in some code. During his November 17th interview with April Moss, he said as much, and I quote, "I have no idea what people mean when they're asking for transparency." So tonight, I'm here to state for the record what transparency means. As printed in the Reader's Digest Illustrated Encyclopedia Dictionary, page 1750, definition number 4, easily understood or detected, filmy or obvious, i.e., transparent lies. Definition number 5, guileless, candid, open. As a second reference, you can use dictionary.com. Definition number 4, easily seen through, recognized, or detected, i.e., transparent excuses. Or number 5, manifest, obvious, i.e., a story with a transparent plot. Or even definition number 6, open, frank, candid, clear. So in conclusion, just use a simple dictionary if you have any more questions or need a reference, because I'm not speaking in code. And if you're trying to forge a relationship with parents, then you can't do it by accusing them of speaking in code.
Andrew Weaver.
So I want to address something that was said after the person that spoke after I did, about how only a few people are speaking up about the issues with DEI is a small number. It's a small number because cancel culture is real. We've seen it. We saw the owner of the smoothie company be canceled for simply having a post that politically didn't align with the district. So cancel culture is real. People have to worry about their livelihoods. Again, the school district is being sued in federal court for cancel culture, for going after someone. So the reason people sometimes aren't speaking up is because there's legitimate fear. Legitimate fear, not the fake fear, not the 400 fake cases of hate crimes, the hoax, right? Not those ones, real fear. So that's why fewer and fewer people speak up. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what are you truly scared of? I'm truly scared of growing up in a society where we don't teach our kids facts. We don't teach our kids to stand up for the right thing. Where we teach them bullying is actually okay, because again, we heard a parent speak here, actually a student speak first, about how her son was bullied because he had a medical exemption not to wear a mask, and the district did nothing. We heard the parent speak up when her business was canceled, and students were calling her mom a racist, which again, because we don't use that word correctly anymore, can be applied to anything. I mean, again, a parent from DEI told us it's anything that's divisive is racist. So we can see facts. And the amount of people that walked up here and ignored the things that can be proven. So another word, Shana, you might want to look up is conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy when you can prove it with facts. When you have documented proof, it's not a conspiracy. It's the truth. So again, yes, few people speak up because there are power. I mean, I have a police report. So obviously, Shaner tried to use his connections to influence that. It's real. I can provide it to anybody. So again, the board approves this. The board sees it, and you accept it. So elections matter. We'll see where we fall. Okay, we got our court date in January for our recall petitions. So we're going to continue to go down that road. So hopefully soon we'll have a whole new board, and change will really happen.
That concludes our public comment. Members of the administration or board members, do you have anything to say in conclusion?
Just real quickly, Madam President, after I stop destroying my microphone. Again, let's just take this off just for a second. I just would offer to people, I said earlier about student safety that there's going to be a lot of lessons to be learned. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of loss. There's a lot of trauma. And I would just offer that we extend that support to the community of Oxford. What'll be investigated will be investigated, and the lessons learned will come out. But let's just please extend our support to that community and to the people in our community, and quite frankly, our staff that we have that live in that community. I'd also like just to, as we think about the holidays, extend a couple of words from one of my favorite bands. I'm a huge U2 fan. Can be a little bit more meaningful to me as I got older. But one of U2's latest songs is called "Ordinary Love." And I just ask you, as you go through the holidays, is we continue to manage this pandemic, to extend some ordinary love to your fellow man. Thank you and happy holidays.
Thank you on behalf of Dr. Shaner and our entire cabinet team this evening to see 3 legacy board members sitting in the front row. I hope tonight the conversations, the hard work that you have modeled for our current team has given you affirmation. Watching budget, I was watching your faces because we've been together for a very long time. To see our articulate students and note that we now have the virtual campus in IA. I've truly enjoyed watching your response this evening. So on behalf of Bob, the cabinet team, and the the Board of Education, thank you for standing with us this evening. Thank you.
Any board member comments? I just have one thing that I wanted to end with. So, and this is really a message to the staff that's at home watching, because there's been a lot of talk, I think, about what happens in our buildings, inside our buildings during the school day. So, as a board member, and most importantly, as a parent, there are really no words I can say in gratitude to the teachers, principals, counselors, and all staff who take care of my children, all of our children, every single day. And that has just really hit home to myself and a lot of people, I think, in the last couple weeks. So on behalf of the board, I just want to thank all of you for showing up for them every day. Thank you for helping them feel safe and secure. Thank you for making sure that all of our kids know that they belong here. And I also wanted to say that January is a new beginning, so we have a lot of work to do. As a board, we're committed to moving RCS forward efficiently and effectively and with decorum. And so that is also a message to our staff. We are committed to that, and we thank you for your dedication to this organization. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:17 p.m. Moved by Barb, seconded by Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.